Buenas and half a day to our listeners on Guam and in the CNMI. It's now time for Total Health right here on Joy FM Radio, where your questions get answered by health professionals. If you have any health-related questions, we would love to hear from you. Call your questions and comments in at 472-1111 or text or WhatsApp 686-9999. If you're in the CNMI, please call 323-1113. Welcome everybody to Total Health.
Well, here we are again. It is a new year, and I believe we can face the new year with no fear. And we are ready for this year. And again, there is more of total health. Well, new year, we like to start it right. And I couldn't think about a guest that we can start this year better or more right than talking about how we can actually benefit from running. I hope you enjoy talking about running because running doesn't come naturally to us. It's an acquired skill, I would say, and it takes a while to start love running. But once you love it, then you can't live without it. Today, I have invited a special guest, Dr. Isaiah Santos. He has been here before, but I don't know anybody else that's more passionate about running than Isaiah. Hi, welcome, Isaiah. Nice to see you here.
Hi, Elena. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Isaiah, we kind of have moments, me and you, from time to time. I see you running on the street, and I'm usually driving a car, and I will beep at you. Or I have seen you a few times, like we will just, see each other on the other side of the street running. And so I hope we can inspire our listeners as much as we're inspired about running. But tell me, like before we start talking about who invented running and why running is important and what are the benefits from running, tell us a little bit more about yourself. You're the director of our physical therapy department. And of course, dealing with that, we know all PTs, more power to you. You are after exercises because you know how important is that for our joints, our bones, our mental health. But what makes a director of a PT department to be running every morning, early morning?
Well, that's a good question, Elena. I haven't always been a runner. And if you had seen me when I was very young, I was a very sickly child.
Oh.
Yes, I always had colds, flus, even pneumonia, which affected my lungs. And I had a hard time breathing. I had mucus. I had phlegm all the time. And I was very sickly. I was sedentary. I didn't exercise. You would not ever think that I would become a runner. I had joint pains. My mother thought I had juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. And she never thought I would be into exercise. But when I was 12 years old, we moved from cold Quebec, Canada to also cold Michigan, Barron Springs. But that's when I started getting into exercise. And I really enjoyed it so much. I didn't run yet at that time. I was actually more into basketball. That was my sport. But it didn't feel like exercise. It felt more like just playing and just enjoying. And then later on, years later, Dr. Miyagi, when he was still a student, undergrad student at Andrews University, asked me if I would join him in running a marathon, which was only 3 months away. This was a 2003 Chicago Marathon. At first, I thought he was joking, and I had never run a long-distance race in my life, and I couldn't imagine doing it. But once I started running, first 1 mile a day, then 2 miles, and increasing slowly, I started feeling so much better. I enjoyed it. At first, of course, you have the aches and pains, blisters, and as you were mentioning, though, once you catch that bug and you start to really enjoy it, it's hard to give up. And now that I've been doing it so long, it's almost second nature. It's almost part of it's inside my blood. And it's very easy now just to get up early in the morning and just take a nice jog. And I can think about different topics in my head. I can think about God. I can meditate in my mind. I can also it helps me to reduce stress. And then after a strong run, I feel a sense of accomplishment and peace that is very hard to replicate with other kinds of exercises. Even just the wind blowing in your face or the rain cooling your skin is something that I enjoy.
So, is that your me time early in the morning when you're running?
Yes, if I can do it early in the morning, I prefer that. But sometimes things happen, and then I have to do it maybe later in the evening after work.
But I'm saying
Mhm.
this is your me time. Like when
Yes,
you're running, this is like the time you spend with yourself and your thoughts and doing whatever you like doing.
correct, correct. And so it is almost like meditation. It's relaxing. It's like you're free to do whatever, kind of break free from the regular routine of work and stress.
Oh, well, I mean, you're more advanced. And for those of you that don't know, Isaiah, you won the last marathon here, right? Was it the last one?
Yes, that was the 50th Guam
50th.
Marathon. I've run several of Guam marathons, yes, and I was fortunate to finish first in that one.
I know, and I remember you told me that I was passing again with my car, and I saw you at the last mile. You were running, and you were like, really, like, almost there to collapse, but you were still pushing it, and I honked at you, and you said that gave you a little bit of courage. So you push forward, and we are so proud of you.
Yeah,
How?
thank you for that honk. Yeah, I remember that. It gave me a little bit of a adrenaline rush because I was like, "Who's that?" And it kind of startled me. No, thank you.
So tell us, I mean, in order to become a marathon runner or even finish like first at least once in your life, it does require quite a lot of discipline, but it does require also quite a lot of motivation. How long did it take you, for example, to complete the Chicago Marathon? Did you have to train for months, or were you just born naturally a runner?
Oh, that was my first marathon. I've run over 20 marathons now,
Oh,
so each one has a little bit different. But since it was my first one, no, it was very difficult, especially in the beginning. Starting off pretty much from no endurance, so starting like 1 or 2 miles, and then the following week trying to increase it to maybe 4 or 5 miles. And each week I would try to slowly increase that long run until a couple of weeks before the marathon, I had already made it to 21 miles. So I had a little bit more confidence that, this marathon is 26.2 miles. That's further than Anderson to Big Navy. That's only 21 miles from gate to gate. So this is adding another, 5, 6 miles on there. And but yeah, it was a slow process. I am by no means a natural runner. Actually, as I mentioned, I was very sedentary as a child. All the little kids would run faster than me, and the little they would challenge you to like a little 100-meter sprint or 200-meter sprint. I would be last to most of those. So yeah, it definitely took time. It took effort. I had to do some reading, research as to different kinds of training. There's tempo, lactate threshold training. There's speed work, intervals, and different things like that you can use to improve your performance.
but that's the way of doing it. But like, what would motivate Isaiah to wake every morning and keep on running and running a marathon and then another marathon and another marathon? This is where we, the normal people, we really struggle with getting this motivation. What are those benefits that you're getting from running that really makes you willing and eager to do that every day?
Oh, that's a very good question, Elena. I have to talk about when I was younger, when I had all these joint pains, I had these difficulty breathing, and also I had insomnia even as a child because of my joint pain. My mother would have sometimes massage my legs because I couldn't sleep. But when I run, I can sleep much better. I notice that is a big factor. I have less, joint pains or no joint pains. And also, I noticed I breathe much better. So those are some of the main things. Aside from a lot of other health benefits that I've received from running, as a runner, you have stronger heart usually. You have lower blood pressure. It's going to help your bones get stronger. Also, so those are some of the things that drive me to continue running. But as far as motivation, for me, I find that if I have a race lined up, even months ahead, it helps me to get up early in the morning and train. Yeah, if I don't have a race to train for, sometimes I might sleep in a lot more.
Oh, I see. But it's not only about the race. I mean, you're still running even the week after the race. I think you love it so much, and it has become like an innate nature to you that you can't imagine life without running. Am I right?
I believe so. I know my wife sometimes thinks that I run too much, but she's happy though that it does help me with a lot of different things. And really, I really don't run that much. So I just don't want people to think that that's all I do. I run less than an hour a day usually, and only 3 to 5 days a week when I'm not training for a marathon intensely. But if I'm training for a marathon, I probably run about 6 days a week, and maybe a little bit more than
An hour.
around an
Wow.
hour or more.
I know. I see you sometimes, and I run. I can't keep up with you, and I see you. You're like bypassing me far, and then I'm thinking I can follow you until the end of the street, but I have lost you long before that. Well, we'll continue more on running right after the break.
That's the music, so we're going to go ahead and go to a break. Thank you, Elena, and thank you, Isaiah. And thank you as well to all of our listeners. If you have a question, if you have a health-related question and you want to call it in, if you're calling from Guam, go ahead and give us a call at 671-472-1111. That's 671-472-1111. In the CNMI, you can call us at 670-323-1113. That's 670-323-1113. You can also send us a message via text or WhatsApp at 671-686-9999. That's 671-686-9999. It's free from the CNMI. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break.
When you support Joy FM, it's a bit like playing ping pong. The Bible says, "Give as freely as you have received." When you give to us, we can't help but give back. Like the serve of a ping pong ball, we like to return the blessing. Many of our listeners can't help but feel blessed. That's when they return the blessing in our direction. If you'd like to get in the game, visit joyfmradio.net. Your gifts enable a partnership of blessings to continue.
Si Joe Mossy, and thanks for listening to Total Health on Joy FM. We want to hear from you. Call in with your health-related questions at 472-1111. In Guam or in the CNMI, the number to call is 323-1113. Text or WhatsApp us at 686-9999. And now, back to the show.
Hi, and welcome back to Total Health Live. My name is Rose Trina, and in the studio today we have Elena Taneva, nurse practitioner, and Isaiah Santos, DPT. And today's topic is actually running.
Yes, it is running. I kind of am trying to see if we can rub a little bit from the motivation and determination and discipline that Isaiah has every morning, going for a run and just enjoying that difficult, arduous skill and activity. But he's not the only one. In 2017, the statistics have noticed that during the pandemic in the States, there were 60 million people that on a regular basis will be running.
Wow.
And that it is incredible. And more people are getting into running because the pandemic really showed us that we really need to have to emphasize on our health. Our health is not given. It's not going to stay there unless we do something about it. And every year we feel more motivated to become better. And when we say better, it usually comes with our health. We always say, I will be better this year. I'll eat less chocolate, or I'll do more exercise. I will really buy a membership card, or for the gym, I will do something. I will go swimming. I'll do more. And Isaiah is here to give us a little bit more tips about it. You know what I find really helpful when it comes to running? Most of the people run like 1 or 2 miles without stopping, or like they will stop a few times. But this is like what we see achievable, for those of us that are able to do that. But running 5 miles or running 10 miles, 13 miles, half marathon, 26 miles, 0.2. That it is like out of proportion for most of us, unless we really put a lot of efforts, do a lot of sacrifices to get there. But when you talk to people that run much more than that, I feel that 1 and 2 miles should not be a problem for us. So one of the records is that the guy ran non-stop for 80 hours.
Wow.
Non-stop, 80 hours, no sleep, 80 hours. This is how natural for that person is. He's from California, American. So he ran 80 hours and 44 minutes, 350 miles. Like running 350 miles, that's one of the records, and it's not even in Guinness records. But he ran for so long. What would give a motivation to that person to run for such a long time? And as I'm reading this statistic, I'm thinking to myself, I can run a mile. I can run 2 miles. What are 2 miles in comparison with 350 miles? How do you see that? Like, how do you push yourself to really continue running for such a long time, for such a long distance?
Wow. Even to me is unimaginable. For me, I'm not really into like doing anything that is gonna possibly injure my body, but some people, they enjoy it so much. It's almost like it's easier for them to run than to walk. But it's like their body has become a continual motion machine. You can kind of teach yourself to use energy very efficiently, but that's kind of boggles my mind running that far. To me, that's going to do a little bit more harm than good, even to your heart and to your joints and muscles. But yeah, I can see what your point is.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest runners, and he just lives out of that. And there are tribes in Kenya, tribes in Mexico. I was able to visit the Tarahumara tribe. They run on a regular basis 200 or 300 miles. They don't even have shoes. They have sandals. And this tribe, they are born to run. They enjoy running. And if they have to do something together in order to socialize, they go for a 100-mile run. Unimaginable things. But yes, I'm not saying that it's a little bit to run a marathon, but there are people that can run, apparently that person, 13 marathons at once.
Wow.
So I think we can build up a little bit more than a mile a day.
Yes. You start off slow. You don't want to overdo it. So many people, like in the beginning of the year, they say, okay, I'm going to start running. So then they go ahead and they run 3 to 4, maybe 5 miles at one time. And then their body is so sore for the next week that they just give up. They don't want to do it anymore. I would much rather, somebody try something a lot more doable, like maybe 1 or 2 miles, a slower pace. You don't want to push it too hard at first, and then maybe take it easy, walk the next day, alternate. and then the day after, then you can run again. You want to make sure your body doesn't get too sore. Just get used to going out there, either running or walking at first. Build a habit. I think consistency is the main thing. You don't need to try to improve your, your heart rate or even your performance right away. You don't have to go too fast. Just take it slow. And just like building any habit, the more you do it, the easier it gets eventually.
I heard that when it comes to running, a little is more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and even the worst run is better than no run.
Yes.
So even if, you're doing it not even great and you're like barely dragging yourself, it's still better than not running. And I don't know about you, but what really motivates me is the satisfaction right after the run. It's not
Yes.
even the running itself. The running itself can be painful. But once I'm done with running, wow, I have so many good, happy molecules, that are coming from the myokines, from the muscles, that it boosts my mood, have a great attitude the whole day, and I'm
Mhm.
just a different person.
That's true. Also, one of the things that I enjoy, after a especially more difficult run is that I can think to myself, I've pretty much done the hardest thing that I'm going to do today, so the rest of the day is going to be pretty easy in comparison. So that's also, a good thing.
No, I think you're very right. When you're going through hardship, then everything else kind of you can handle it. And it is certainly hard to run for an hour, even a little bit more than an
Mhm.
hour every morning. Yeah, and what it is also very good is that you start the day right.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I prioritize my exercise, my day just goes so good. And I never regret for a time I spent in exercise.
Right.
Many times I will feel lazy and I'll be like, oh, not today. I have too much to do. But if I prioritize my exercise, I feel I can do anything else that comes my way that day. And I'm so glad you shared the same thing. Well, Zaya, tell us, like, what are the right technique and the right posture about running? Because since we're trying to prevent injuries and since we're trying to motivate our listeners to be running this year, can you tell us how do we start? Can we do it right?
Yes, that's a good question, Elena. There are specific techniques that can help us to run better. So one of the things that I tell people is maintain a good posture. You want to engage your core, gaze forward, don't be looking down. You want to keep your shoulders back and also down and relaxed. You want to broaden your chest so that your chest is kind of going forward slightly. And you want to keep your hands loose. Use a relaxed arm swing and avoid crossing the center of your body with your arms when you run. Also, using a midfoot or maybe a forefoot strike might be
Okay.
helpful.
Forefoot or
Yes,
midfoot, but
midfoot.
never on your heels because it comes naturally to us to run that way.
Well, I would not say never. The reason why we usually don't recommend heel striking is that when people land on their heels, a lot of times they're overstriding. They're taking big steps and it causes a braking effect and more stress on your body. The reason why we do midfoot is that you land closer to the center of your body mass or right under your body and it causes less strain on your muscles and your joints. You also want to land lightly, as I said. You don't want to have a pounding motion. And in order to do this, it takes practice. You need to strengthen your legs, strengthen your core. You also want to practice like drills, like high knees, butt kicks, things like that. Um, let's see. Also want to maintain a neutral pronation of your ankle. You don't want your ankle to be too pronated.
You
Eh,
mean to like side way?
Yes, like rotating too much in or out. So sometimes different shoes might be helpful for that if you have too much rotation one way or the other. And also, it's important, like I was saying, to strengthen like the glutes, doing glute bridges, side planks. Also, you want to work on balance, stability, and things like that to help your knees and your legs to prevent injury.
Yeah, I remember the time I was really getting seriously into triathlons, and I had to hire a personal trainer. And so she would put a mirror in front of me, and I would run, and I would just see myself how I run, and I would be so ashamed, posture not good, kicking with the left leg. And so she would put me in front of the mirror. I'm like, run, run, run. And I'll be running. And she said, you see how much more energy you're wasting by just kicking sideways and moving so much your hands that you're running out of energy. So I became a little bit more guarded with my moves. I'm not moving as much, the upper part. And I'm not kicking as much with my legs because I'm just more concentrated on just moving forward. It doesn't always come very elegantly, initially, but like with time, you can get to the right posture and the right way that you can run for miles and not get injured.
Yes, that's right. Decreasing, wasted energy is very important with the upper body, as you mentioned, even your legs. And it pushes you forward rather than putting the strain on your joints, if you have a proper technique and proper posture.
And as we're talking about that, I say, do you have any suggestions about how we can take some precautions not to injure ourselves?
Oh, yes. That's also something I get asked a lot at work. How can I not get injured? So, as I was kind of mentioning, strengthening is one of the best ways to do that. Strengthening the calves, the quads, hamstrings, glutes, the back, even the neck muscles. Some people get neck pains, back pains when they run. But the core is very important to strengthen that. And also mobility. You want to make sure you have flexible ankles and hips because we sit around a lot during the day. We need to stretch our hips.
We need to move our joints and strengthen our bones and muscles. Yes.
That's the music, so we're going to go ahead and go to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Also, if you have a question, we've already taken a couple questions, or at least one. There may be another one. But if you have a question, you can call it in. Call us on Guam at 671-472-1111. That's 671-472-1111. In the CNMI, you can call us at 670-323-1113. That's 670-323-1113. You can also send us a message via text or WhatsApp at 671-686-9999. That's 671-686-9999. We're also live streaming to Facebook, so if you want to head on over there to our Facebook page, Joy FM Guam, you can catch the video and leave a question in the comment section below. Don't go anywhere. We're only halfway through today's show. We'll be right back after this short break.
Hey! What the? Get him off! Ow! Ah! Killer, down, killer. He just took a chunk of my shoe off. Maybe next time you shouldn't wear the Gucci's.
Here at Joy FM, we just want you to know that we don't spend our budget on overpriced things we don't need. We're very thrifty and creative when it comes to our finances, but we still need the essentials. That's why we let you know your financial support is important and greatly appreciated. To learn more, visit us at
joyfmradio.net.
Welcome back. You're listening to Total Health on Joy FM. Call in with your health-related questions to 472-1111 in Guam. If you live in the CNMI, we want to hear from you too. Call 323-1113 or text or WhatsApp us at 686-9999. And now, here's more Total Health.
Hi, and welcome back to Total Health Live. My name is Rose Trina, and in the studio today we have Elena Taneva, nurse practitioner, and Isaiah Santos, DPT. And our topic for today is running. And before we went to break, we were actually talking about the proper way to run, right? Oh, go ahead.
Right, right. We are trying to explain that, to our listeners what's the proper way, but it takes time and it takes some guidance and instruction to get to the right technique.
Right before we went to break, we actually got a call from one of our listeners, and Joanna says that she didn't enjoy running when she was younger, but she does now.
Oh,
She is also asking, what are the benefits of running for somebody with asthma?
great. Joanna, thank you so much for this question. We are happy that we have another supporter to the running club in Guam. Well, there are benefits. There are benefits for almost every condition apart from, when you have severely debilitated joints and bones and muscles. But running is beneficial even for asthmatic people. Of course, if you have an exercise-induced asthma, it becomes more difficult. And I was one of those, and I really struggled with it. And as I started training more and more, this asthma would just keep on coming. But it was like specifically exercise-induced. But I didn't let that stop me. And so I kept on very carefully working with that, increasing my VO2 max. You can explain, Isaiah, a little bit more about it daily. And I improved not only breathing better during exercise, but like overall, I improved my health, my cardiopulmonary resilience, and I am very proud of that. Of course, I will let you speak about it, but I believe if you start slowly and steadily, you can still benefit and you can still enjoy it. Now, about temperature-wise, we also can talk a little bit more about that, and when it's raining and how that can affect you when you're running and you have an asthma.
I think you're exactly right, Elena. Exercise, especially running, can still benefit the lungs, even if you have asthma. The circulation, the blood flow, improved blood flow when you're running can help, with anything, not only your lungs, but your mind. As I was mentioning, I also had a lot of breathing problems when I was growing up, and I noticed a big difference, at least in my situation. And I've worked with some patients who have asthma also and want to start running. And we do start off very slow, see what they can tolerate. And just like Elena was saying, we go a little bit at a time, and you'll notice some good benefits from that.
I do tell my patients with asthma to go and, walk, or if they can run next to the sea when they can really expand and breathe, negative ions. And they have a very, very good response to that. So it's not a contraindication. Of course, it's an indication to be careful with, but certainly the more you do it, the more benefits you reap from it. Thank you. Thank you for this great question. Well, we have half an hour, and I kind of want to hear everything from you, from the running expert, because I would like to start running this year, and I would like to make it like more of a habit. I know if I do it 21 days in a row, or like for at least such a long time, I would form that habit that can stay with me. What would you recommend? How many times a week do we have to run? How many times or how far we should run so we can experience those great benefits from running?
Well, the guidelines, state that we want to do at least 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity exercise, or at least 75 minutes of vigorous intensity exercise. And you can break that down. These are just the starting points, of course. So maybe start off with like 30 minutes the first day. It's sometimes easier to go by time rather than miles, especially if you don't have a GPS watch. So I usually just start off with 30. Then the next day, you want to just walk, maybe let the body relax. And then the following day after that, maybe another 30 minutes, and gradually increase There's also a 10% rule. So if you want to decrease your chance of injuries, don't increase the following week's mileage or time by more than 10% of what you ran the previous week.
Oh, that's very good.
Mhm.
Because we tend to feel overconfident
Yes.
when we complete one
Mhm.
week of running. And so, yeah, I didn't know that rule. Thank you.
Yes, and like we mentioned before, I try to tell people don't do as much as you can in the first few weeks. It should feel relatively easy. You don't want to overdo it and, get injured.
One of the benefits, and I heard you one time, you were saying about it, and I started doing my own research, is that running actually prolongs your telomeres. And so the telomeres are the endings of our chromosomes in, our DNA where it is stored. And the longer we keep those telomeres, the longer we live. So we do have a saying about how long we live according to the way we live. And if every time we decide to exercise or run, that has a benefit of prolonging those telomeres. If we decide to be sedentary and not have a great food, that day, we shorten them. So with every decision and every choice we make, we can live longer or we can live shorter. And there is a saying that goes, I don't mind dying, but I don't want to be my fault. So if we want to live longer and we want to enjoy life, the quality life, we can start exercising. So I heard you saying, Isaiah, that if you run, what was it, 30 minutes, 35 minutes, it increases exponentially your telomeres, correct?
Yes, I think that was one study. Another study, actually, I was looking at showed that aerobic exercise of even 75 minutes a week can actually increase or, at least prevent the telomere length from decreasing, which happens when your cells divide. And then another study showed that telomere length was positively affected when you exercise doing running or other aerobic exercise for more than 6 months. So if we want to really improve the telomere length, we have to try and maintain it for 6 months and consistently, like about 75 minutes a week. So you can break that up into sessions of like 15 or 30 minutes.
Well, now I felt motivated, so I need to do 6 months, 6 months in a row
Yes.
to benefit from that.
Mhm.
Wow, yeah, it's a hard work, but definitely worth it. There are a few other things I want to ask you. Well, I hear quite a lot from my patients. I'm sure you have heard it as well. Doc, I don't want to go because I was caught in the rain and it was raining, and then I just got sick and I cannot run outside. It's raining all the time. I have an argument, but I don't know if you agree with me. I say, no, this is the time to run. I'm like, the moment it's raining outside, it's not as hot and sunny. I put my shoes and I go and I just enjoy my run in the rain. I have seen you running in the rain. Do you support my idea?
Oh, I totally agree. I love running in the rain. Yeah, it's cooler because Guam, it's usually kind of too hot. So either when it's not sunny out or when it's rainy, that's usually my favorite times. Of course, a lot of patients think that somehow the rain is going to make them sick. Of course, there's no scientific evidence that does that unless you are soaked and then maybe you go in aircon and then you get cold and for a long period of time and your body temperature kind of gets cold. But no, if you shower afterwards, there's no problem with running outdoors in the rain.
No, you're right. Because actually the rain in Guam is warm. It's not a very cold rain. But yeah, you're right. When we go back to the house, when there is an AC, maybe this is when we really get cold.
Yes.
Talking about water, what would you advise us? How much water do we need to drink? And do you carry with yourself water when you're running those long distances? What do you do?
Okay, well, what I do might not be exactly what they recommend, but yeah, so most recommendations, if you're going to be running for like an hour or so, you want to drink a couple cups, maybe 16 to 20 ounces of water, like the couple hours or the hour before your run. And if you carry water with you every 15 minutes, drink maybe 8 ounces or so every 15 to 30 minutes. But as for me, I usually don't drink. I drink before I run, but not during the run unless it's more than an hour or an hour and a half. If it's more than an hour, I usually make a loop back to where I live, have a water bottle there, or if it's going to be a long run, I might have some Gatorade or a little bit of carbohydrates mixed in with my water. But so usually if it's just an hour or so, I won't drink during the run. But then what's very important is to hydrate after the run. And there are many different ways to try to make sure you have enough water. You can weigh yourself and see how much water you lost and try to drink that much. But the easiest and most effective way that I use is just looking at the color of your urine. If it's clear or pale yellow, then that means you're hydrated enough. If it's dark, that means you need to drink some more. And I try to sip the water. Don't want to gulp it too fast because then it might just come out quickly and it'll be more clear, but it's not going to be as accurate as if you drink it slowly.
Yeah, sip at a time.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. Now, you were talking about vigorous and moderate exercises, and you were saying that at times you have interval kind of a training, speeding up and then slowing down. Does it really matter, our heart rate zones? Like, do we have to aim for a certain heart rate when we are running?
Well, in the beginning, it doesn't really matter that much, especially if you can... if you have a good perceived exertion, like you can just tell how fast or how hard you're going innately. But for some people, they need to look at the watch to see, am I going too fast? Am I going too slow? And that's where these heart rate zones come into place. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute.
And that's the music, so we're going to go ahead and go to the last break of the day. If you have a question, we've only got a few minutes left of today's show, so go ahead and call it in. On Guam, you can call us at 671-472-1111. That's 671-472-1111. In the CNMI, call us at 670-323-1113. That's 670-323-1113. You can also send us a message via text or WhatsApp at 671-686-9999. That's 671-686-9999. It's free from the CNMI. We're also live on Facebook, so you can leave your question in the comment section below or just send it to us via Messenger. Again, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after today's break.
How do you manage your life?
Got everything under control, don't worry.
Some people have a big need to have perfect order in their lives.
Define perfect.
Well, it's when you know exactly what's going on around you at all times and you have the need to control others around you. Does that sound like you? Are you a closet perfectionist?
Well, I don't know if I would put it that way, but yeah.
That's when we expect difficulties to come at us in an orderly fashion and one at a time.
Okay, it's time for our problem of the week.
Perfectionists get overly impatient when things don't go exactly as they planned.
I almost had to wait.
And we began controlling others around us.
Your list of daily chores.
The need to control situations and people is really a reflection of fear and insecurity inside of us. How do you get past that? Well, start by letting go of things little by little.
That's hilarious.
Hey, try it. Once you relax about controlling things and trying to perfect your surroundings, you'll also let go of a little bit of that fear. The Bible has a lot to say about letting God be in control. That allows us to let go of our own need for control. Read the Bible and find out more. A message for life.
From Joy FM.
And we're back with more Total Health. Give us a call with your medical questions. Number to call in Guam is 472-1111. If you're in the CNMI, the number to call is 323-1113. Or you can text or WhatsApp us at 686-9999. Now back to the program.
Hi, and welcome back to Total Health Live. We've only got a few minutes left, so we're jumping right back in.
So, as I was mentioning earlier, heart rate zones are specific heart rate ranges they're measured in beats per minute, and that is used for monitoring training intensity during exercise or other activities. And typically, heart rate zones are calculated based on a percentage of your estimated maximum heart rate. So, first, you need to determine what your maximum heart rate is. The easiest way for doing that is using the classic 220 minus your age. So if you're, of course, let's say you're 40 years old, 220 minus 40, it would be 180. That would be considered your maximum heart rate. And then there are different zones. If you wanted to be in a very easy zone, zone 1, it's a recovery zone, you would use 55 to 65% of that maximum heart rate during this run. And then if you wanted to be a little bit more aerobic, or this is base training, this is called zone 2. That's 65 to 75% of your run. This is used for longer training sessions. They can be used during base training because you can run many miles and you can still talk very easily in this zone. Zone 3 is a little bit faster, 80 to 85% of heart rate max. You'll be pushing the pace a little bit here. Conversation will be reduced to single words. Then zone 4, lactate threshold, 85 to 88% of max heart rate. This one, your lactic acid is building up quickly, and you can only maintain this for maybe a few minutes. And then finally, you have zone 5, which is 90% heart rate, and this is more of sprinting, and this is training the neuromuscular system of your body. So these are some of the zones that you can use as you progress to help improve your speed.
I was very impressed when I was listening to the Navy SEALs when they are training. So they have the common quote that goes this way: when you're at the end of your endurance, you're 40% only done with it. So you still have 60% more remaining in the tank. So we can still keep on going. But of course, it can be dangerous, and we need to do some assessments. Not everybody can run right away, go to the final phase, right?
Right.
90%. So it is a question of building it up.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah, what foods can we eat that can improve us to run or make us less lazy, to initiate running in the morning?
A good diet is very important. It can boost your physical health and help you to run faster. Of course, fruit and vegetables are very important for vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. You also want to have lean proteins such as beans, lentils, tofu. Also beets. I sometimes eat beets. They're very good for endurance and energy.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Healthy fats such as olive oil, avocados, nuts. And you need a lot of healthy carbohydrates because these unprocessed and minimally processed carbohydrates are what give you energy when you run. Things like whole grains, again, fruits, vegetables, beans. These are all healthy carbohydrates.
Okay, and we need a lot of them in order to be able to go forward. For those of us that are not able, some of us are not able to run. We don't want to be exclusive. Maybe somebody can walk, or maybe they can walk with a Zimmer frame, with a walker.
Oh, yes.
It is still more preferable to do that than not to do it.
Yes.
But if you have really debilitated knees and hips and you really cannot do anything, I recommend to my patients to download. There's so many apps on their phones that they can do even sitting exercises. Anything, it's better than nothing. And everything that you're doing to boost your health is the right thing to do.
Yes. If I tell my patients, if you can't walk just regularly, try walking in the water, maybe waist deep. If you can't do that, do sitting exercises. If you can't do that, you can do bed exercises, mobility exercises. So there's always something, or usually, unless you're, God forbid, totally paralyzed, that you can do to still strengthen your your body.
Yeah, fantastic. There is a way. That when there is a will, there is a way. Because as we are hearing, there's so many benefits from that. Is there a way? Is there a type of running that we can lose weight faster? I'm sure many patients ask you that question.
Yes, there are a couple of different things and different theories to that. If you run at the moderate pace, about 60 to 65% of your max heart rate, that's usually when you can burn a higher percentage of fat rather than carbohydrates. But also, it's a little bit slower, so you're going to have to run longer than if you run at a faster pace. When you run faster, you can burn more calories and, well, faster but less percentage of fat. So if you want to burn fat in particular, yes, staying in the moderate zone is very good. Also, doing hill sprints might be also helpful because, again, you're burning a lot of calories, but you're also building muscles. And when you build muscles, that's going to continue to burn calories and fat throughout the day, even when you're not necessarily running.
Yeah, there are some theories that you can burn up to 48 hours. I don't know. There's so many studies that are suggesting that there are benefits after that. But do we have to rest after that? Can you keep on going and going? Or do you recommend to rest between runs, or like to give some time break to our bodies to recover, to rebuild our muscles? What is your take on that?
Again, it depends on person to person. I've known some runners that, they're so accustomed to running that even if they run 5 or even sometimes 10 miles at a slower pace for them, easy pace, that's recovery. They're actually recovering from that.
Oh, wow,
and then
that's
some
next
people,
level.
right, they need to maybe walk or, take it very easy the next day. So it depends on your level of fitness, really. And you kind of have to gauge it. If you're having muscle soreness, you want to stretch, you want to take it easy, and you don't want to push into injury. You can kind of tell when a muscle is getting very sore, but there's a difference. You have to listen to your body. There's a difference between just a mild soreness from the muscles or the potential injury, so you want to be careful and rest as much as you need if you're feeling a lot of
But would you
pain.
recommend a good night of sleep to kind of recover after a run, or it's not necessary?
Oh, yes. Sleep is very, very important. It helps your body to rejuvenate, to recover. Usually I try to sleep, if possible, 8 hours, but I'm a kind of person that doesn't really need to sleep that much. So usually 6 hours or less for me, but I'd prefer longer if possible.
What do you do to prevent cramps? I know cramping is a big thing, especially when you go on a long run.
Yes, especially on Guam where it's very hot and you're sweating a lot. I definitely try to drink a lot of fluids because a lot of times cramps come because of dehydration or muscle fatigue from not being accustomed to doing the activity. So I would also do a lot of strengthening exercises for the calves, the hamstrings, and the quads, and also stretching the tight muscles. The hip flexors tend to get very tight from sitting all day. So I like to do stretching for the hips, the calves, and also having some electrolytes can be helpful. Some potassium, magnesium. Those are, and then getting enough rest. Those are usually things I do to help prevent cramps.
Well, thank you. Those are very valid things. Do you do weight training to prepare yourself for running, or running is preparing you for weight training? Or do you feel that you have to really do something extra apart from running to stay fit?
Well, they say that hill sprints are lifting weights in disguise because you're sprinting, up a hill, lifting your body weight. So that's one of the things that can help strengthen. But for me, I do a little bit of body weight exercises. I do some pull-ups, push-ups, some body weight squats every now and then, lunges. Especially as we get older, we want to maintain our muscle strength because I work with a lot of older people, and if they don't do any body weight or like strengthening exercise, it becomes difficult to do your daily activities. Some people have a hard time even getting out of bed. So even for the older folks, I do recommend strengthening, weight training, and then also stretching exercises are very important, and balance exercises.
Quickly tell me, do you stretch before or do you stretch after running?
Both, but they're different kinds of stretches. Before the run, you want to activate the muscles, so you do dynamic stretches, again, like lunges, maybe some butt kicks, high knees, maybe some squats, heel-toe raises, to get the blood circulating and get the muscles ready for the exercise. And then after the run, that's when I do the static stretch, holding it for a minute or so. That's where you want to lengthen the muscles because they've been, worked hard, they've contracted, and you don't want them to be injured, so you want to stretch them back to their normal length.
Isaiah, I felt so motivated when I heard you preaching about racing and running. Thank you so much. That was my idea of inviting you, and I believe you have more than a great verse to share with us at the end.
Yes, I'd like to share one of my favorite Bible verses, Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 31. It says, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint."
That's amazing. I believe this new year we can start with the right running. We can buy our new shoes or maybe use the old ones. But remember, the worst run is better than no run. And this year we can be running and we can be thriving. Thank you, Isaiah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elena, and thank you, Isaiah, and thank you again to all of our listeners for tuning in. Total Health Live is on every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. We'll see you again next week.
Be sure to check with your doctors before making any sudden life changes discussed today. Total Health is brought to you in partnership with Guam Seventh-day Adventist Clinic, where health is their mission. We look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Thank you and si Juas Masi for listening to Total Health right here on Joy FM.